Welcome back, Front-End Navigator. In our previous lesson, we've learned the basics and foundation of web development, which is HTML or Hypertext Markup Language. We've learned how to create our first website with HTML. Then I take you through some important elements and tags. So next, we are going to learn some advanced HTML tags and elements. So we are going to take a look at how to add tables, images, videos, audios, and we are going to look at how to also create a simple form element in HTML. Then we'll dive into semantic and why semantic is important and how to use semantic to make your website more appealing for bots. So let's dive right in. Welcome back, front-end navigators. So I have the code from our previous lesson over here. So I'm going to create a folder and I'm going to put all the codes over there. So I have the first section of the course. So I just call this section 1, and then I can have everything selected. Then I'll move them inside the section 1. So now we can have the second section of the course. So section 2. So everything is inside the HTML folder. So you can open your VS Code. So just click on the search. Then you can search for can I spell. So just write code. Once you write code, you have Visual Studio Code application. So select it. So have the VS Code selected and open. So just go to the settings, and we are going to have our settings one more time. So click on workspace, then text editor, then scroll, look for files, then scroll, then look for autosave after delay, then set this to, so let's set it to 2 seconds now. So 2 seconds. So now let me close the settings. So now I want to open our folder. So I want to open the folder we've created our files in. So I'm going to open, so click on open folder, or let me close, and then you can click on the Explorer tab over here. So I already have my folder open by VS Code, or you can simply, if you don't have your folder open over here, you can simply click on the open folder over here. Or if I minimize, so if I minimize, we'll have the file tab over here. Click on the file tab and then select open folder, and then navigate to your folder. So it's on the desktop, then front-end course HTML. So now I'm going to select the section 2, then open. So I have my section 2 open, and we have nothing over here. So I'm going to create my first file, which is the index.html. Can I spell HTML? So I'm going to collapse this, then I'll put my exclamation mark, then I'll press enter to have my boilerplate. So inside here, I'm going to write something like images. Can I spell images? So images, then videos, then, so let me just name it to HTML advanced. So advanced. So now we are going to start with images. So the img tag is used to insert an image, and it comes with the source attribute and the alt attribute, and we have other attributes like the height and the width. So the source attribute is used to specify the location of the image, and the alt attribute is used to specify an alternative text to your image. So I can come down, then I can have my img, then I'll press enter, and by default we have the source and the alt. For the image, we don't have a closing tag, so we don't have this closing tag. So let me cut this off. So the image is a self-closing tag. You can decide to put this over here on, or you can remove it. So I just like to put it over here. So this is a self-closing tag, so it doesn't need a closing tag. Just open and that's all. So next is the source. So the source is the location of the image. So let's go online and download an image and use it. So let me right click, then open live server first, then let me close this. So I have it open over here. So I can add a tab, then we can go to pixels. So pixels, so I think it's E, so this is E, so pixels, then select pixels website. So it's a free stock photos website, so you can just look for any image, then you can use it. So I can go, then I'll click any image. So let me select this image. So it's just select any image. So once you click on the image, you have this image. So if you right click, then you have copy image address. So copy the image address and then open back, then come to your source attribute, then paste it over here. So once you paste it, you can simply bring your cursor, bring the source attribute down to half space, then scroll to this side, then bring the alt attribute down, then I can bring the closing tag down. So now hopefully if I open back to my file, and then I can have this huge image over here. So this is the image I have loaded. So I want to set the width and the height of the image. So I want to set some dimensions so that we are not going to have this overflow over here. To achieve this, I'm going to use the width, so the width attribute. Then I can set it equals to 100%. So first let's set it to 200 pixels. And now if I come, we'll have the image shrink over here. I can set it equals to something like 500 pixels. Then I can come to have this huge image over here. So I can have a header, H1, then I can call this images. So now if I come, I'll have images, then I'll have my image over here. We have our alt attribute. So the alt attribute is used to describe your image. So I can write something like natural, or let me write something like nature. So I can write something like nature. So if I come, I can also specify a height, but it's not recommended to set a height and a width at the same time. So what do I mean? So if we check this image, so check the image, if we check, we have this nice image. So if I try to set a height, so height, so if I set the height something like 500 pixels, and then I come, we are going to have this image skewed in this way, and it's not going to be nice unless you try to look for the perfect dimension to match the image resolution. So that's why it's not recommended to use both the height and the width. You can use one. So if I remove the height and the width rather, and then I come, we'll still have our perfect image. So let me put back the width. So next is to change this. So you can use 100%. So if I write 100%, it means 100% of my screen. And if I write something like maybe 60%, so 60% of our screen, if I come, I'll have 60% of the screen. So what if you have the image stored locally? So it's not recommended to always go and copy images online because the URL of this image or the address might change. So it's recommended that you download the image first. So how do we download the image and use it? So just come over here. So let me look for a good image. So let me search for programming. If I search for program, I'm going to find these nice images. So I'll go to look for the perfect image. So I just like this image. So just pick any random image, click on it, then click on the free download. So once you click on the free download, you have your image downloaded. So now you can open your desktop. So this is my folder. So I can look for the image. So this is the image I've downloaded. So I can simply cut it with Ctrl X. So you can simply cut the image and move it to your folder. So I'm going to go back to my folder. So this is my folder. So I'm currently working on this section 2. I'll open it, then I'll paste my image. So once I paste the image, so now if I send my cursor over here, I'll find the image over here. So this is the image. So the name is too long, I'll click, then I can rename it. So I can call this programming, then I'll have my image over here. So now I can come, then I'll remove this source, then I can change it to my image. So my image is on the same directory as my file. So I can just write the name of my image, so programming, then we'll have this .jpg. So this is the image extension. So make sure you have the extension attached. So now if I open, then I come, and hopefully we are going to have our image over here. So it's not advisable to have your images on the same directory as your root file. So what do I mean? So I can create a folder, then I can call it assets. So assets. So inside the assets, I can send my programming image and move it inside the folder, so that we'll have the images separated from our code files. So now it's inside our assets folder. So now to display this, I'll simply have a /, then I'll go inside the assets folder, then I'll have the programming.jpg. So now if I come, then we are going to still find the image. So next is our alt text. So what is the use of the alt text? So if I remove the .jpg, then I come. So we are going to have this nature. So that's the use of the alt text, so that in case your image fails to load, the user can simply look at this nature and knows that, okay, this image is a nature image, or this image is a program. So our name doesn't even match, so let me change it to programmer, so that in case the user visited the image, refused to load, the person will have this alternative text displayed back to him or her. So I can have the dot, then jpg. So this is how to display images on your website. So next up, we are going to look at how to create tables. So how do we create tables on our website? So I'll come over here, then I'll have another h2, then I can call this tables. So sorry, to tables. Then I can come, then we can start creating our tables. So to create our tables, we are going to use the table tag. So this is going to wrap our table element, and inside here we have the table row, which is the tr. So a row, simply a horizontal line. So we can have our first row over here, and here we can have our first heading. So we are going to create a table, for our users on our website, and we are going to collect the marks of each user on any course they have enrolled. So all the courses they have enrolled and their respective marks, or let's just put it their progress. So their progress and the course. So what do I mean? So I can have a table header th, then here we'll have our first heading. So first we are going to have the username, then I'll have another th, then we can have the first course, which is HTML, then we are going to have another th, then we are going to have our second course, CSS, then we are going to have th, then our third course, JavaScript. So now we have these three courses over here. So let me just make it to look nicer. So let me send it like this. So I think now it's nicer. So let me format it. So I have this format like this and like this. So like this, and so I think now it's nicer. So this is our first row, and inside our first row we have the headings. We have the username, then we have the first course for the user, HTML, CSS, then we have the third course, JavaScript. So now if I open, then I scroll, we are going to have the table over here. We have the username, we have HTML, CSS, then we have JavaScript. So now if I come over here, then we can have another row. So I can have another TR, that's the row. So this will be for the first user. So for the first user, we are going to use the TD to create the data for that person. So the TD means table data. So it's used to create a table data cell. So I can have the first user, which is John Doe. Then for his HTML, so for HTML, so that's the first, so that's the second column. So this is the first column. For the second column, we can have 80%. So he has finished 80% of the course. And we can have for the second course, which is CSS, so 95 for he. I think he likes CSS more. Then we can have JavaScript. And I think John Doe hates JavaScript, so let's give him 10%. So now hopefully if I come, we are going to have John Doe, that's the username, for HTML 80%, CSS 90%, and JavaScript 10%. So we can simply copy this table row, then we can paste it to create another row, then paste it. We can have several rows down. So we can change this to Jane. So Jane Doe. So this will be 40%, and here 55%, and here 100%. So here we can have something like Michael. So Michael, Jason. So Jason. So for Michael Jason, we are going to have 30%, and for here we are going to have 35%, and for here we are going to have 80%. So now hopefully if I come, I'll have the table over here with 3 rows. So we have the first row, John Doe, Jane Doe, then Michael Johnson, then we have the headers over here. So this is how to simply create tables in HTML. So don't worry about visuals. So this is an HTML course. So when we get to CSS, we'll start styling these tables and make them look much more nicer for your users. So just take your time and understand the HTML. So once we get to CSS, you'll know how to style. So don't rush the process. Just take your time and understand. So I think next is using forms. So how do we use forms? So for that, I'm going to create another file over here. Then I can call this form.html. Then I'll press enter. Then I can collapse my form.html. So I can have my exclamation mark. Then I can have something like form. So now I can simply open back. Then we'll head back to the form.html. So make sure you have this .html. So now I can come, then I'll have h1. Then I can just call this something like user form. So user registration form. Form. So now hopefully if I come, I'll have user registration form. So next, let's start creating our form. So to create the form, we use the form element to wrap the form. Then just remove the action, we don't need it for now. And inside the form, we can have our individual form elements wrap over here. So we can have the first, we have the input element, which is used to create an input for a user. So it's a self-closing tag. And here you can specify the type of input you want. So this input can be for our username. So I can have a label. So this label, so I can have label for user name. Then here I can write something like user name. So now hopefully if we come, we'll have username over here. Then we'll have this input and we can simply type any text over here. So I can simply grab the label, then I can wrap it in a div tag, and then if I wrap it in a div tag, we'll have a block element, so we'll have it on top. So the div tag is a block element, so that's why to convert this into a block element. So we can have username, then we can have the password of the user, So, but before we create the password of the user, I'll simply copy this, then I'll wrap everything inside a P tag, and then I'll paste everything inside the paragraph. So this will be our first section of the form. Then you can have the second section, which will be for the user. So for example, I can have country, then let me change it to country. So now hopefully we want the person to be able to select a country. So how do we achieve this? So it's pretty simple. I can simply remove the input, then we can go with the select. So put select, and inside the select, so we can have IDs and name. So let me remove the ID and name. I don't need them for now. Then we can have options. So we can have the first option, and here we can have the value. So I can have the first option, then I can make it USA, then I'll write USA. Then I can have the second option, so second option over here, then I can change this to Spain, so Spain, then we can have Spain. Then I can come to and have another option, then for this option we'll have Canada, then Canada. So now if we come over here, we'll have country, and if the person click, the person can simply select his or her country over here. You can select any of the country. So next is password. So how do we create passwords? So first, copy the first input over here. So copy the first paragraph, then I'll simply bring it over here. Then we can change this to password. So password, then label for password. So now hopefully if I come, I'll change this text over here, the type to password, so password. So now hopefully if I come, then we'll have this password. So if we check for the username, we'll have the text, but for the password, if we type, we'll have this dot, meaning it's a password input field over here. So another attribute I want to discuss before we go is the placeholder attribute. So I can go to the top over here, then I can add a placeholder. So I can ask the user to write something like maybe enter your full name. So this is a hint text. So if the user visit, the person will have this hint over here, enter your full name, and if the person start to type, it will vanish. So that's the use of the placeholder. So I can have another placeholder over here, then something like enter your password over here. So now hopefully if I come, I can simply enter my username, then I can enter my password before submitting. Another element we can use is the text field. So for example, if I copy this, then I come, then I paste the password, then I'll change the password over here in something like address, then I'll change this to address. So now hopefully if I come to the placeholder, I'll write something like enter. So sorry, let me just remove everything, we don't need it again. Then we'll write text area, then I'll remove the name and everything, so we can have the text area over here. So the text area comes with the rows attribute. So rows, so I can have rows, then I can set the rows to something like 5 rows. So now if the user come, the person will have this long text field over here, and the person can simply write on multi-line. So that's the use of the text area field. So if we come, we can also set values. For example, if I come down, I can set the value of any input field over here or the text field. For example, if I come to the top input field, I can set the value. So we'll have another attribute called the value. So if I set it equals to John Doe, and then I come, so by default we'll have John Doe over here. So this is the default value. So if we refresh, we'll have John Doe already there, and the person can simply twist it. So that's how to set a value in any of your input field. But for the text area, if I start writing anything over here, So if I write something like BLK45 and then I come, we'll have the text over here. So that's how to also set any value there. You can just write between the tags. So for the text area, we have the opening and we have the closing tag. So next is how to put checkboxes and other toggles. So for example, if I bring this down, so let me copy the input. So I'll copy my input, so I'll bring it. So now I just want to demonstrate something for you. For example, you can have something like gender, then I can change this to gender. Can I spell gender? So gender. So now if I come and remove the placeholder for the type attribute, there are a lot of types you can use over here. So if you come, we have checkboxes, we have color to select color, we have time date to select time date, image, and we have month, and we have a lot of them, emails, we have text, time, and URL, and week. And so for example, if I select date, so let me just put date for now, and if the user come, you can simply select a date from here. So you can select a date. So next up, let me change this so I can change it to radio or checkbox. So let me change it to radio first. So if we come, we'll have this radio over here. Then I can change this to checkbox. So checkbox. So if we come, we'll have this checkbox over here. So this is how to use any of the input type. So if you remove this and put this over here, then you can select any of the type you want to go with. So I'm going to go with the radio. So for this input, I'll have a text over here. So I'll write a div, then I'll have male for this, and then I can, so if I come over here, we'll have male. So we want to have female too. So if I copy this and then I bring it, then we are going to have female over here, so that the person can select between male and then the female over here. So this is how to use the radio input type. So next is a button, so that the user can click on the button to simply submit our form. So I can have a p tag over here, so that I'll have a paragraph between the form elements and the button. So I can have my button, and here I can write something like submit form. So submit form. So here we are not going to handle any action. So when we get to JavaScript, so that's where we are going to handle how to submit our forms. So now if I come, we are going to have this button over here, and the user can simply click on the button to submit the form. So this is how to simply create a registration form. So you can do a text, then you can start by creating a registration form, so that the person can enter his name, that's the first name, last name, then select the country, then password, and the person can simply register. Or you can create a login form for email and password, and the person can simply log in. So you can experiment with any of the projects. So I challenge you to create any of these projects I have mentioned. And don't worry about your visuals. Like I said before, this is an HTML course, so this is not a design course. So once we get to CSS, we'll start splashing some designs over here. Then you are going to enjoy the journey once we get to CSS, but take your time to understand the HTML first. So next up, we are going to add audios and videos. So I'm going to click over here, and I'm going to create another file. Then I can call it media.html. Then I'll press enter. So now I can collapse this. Then I'll put an exclamation mark. Then here I'll have media. Then now I can open back. Then I can go to media. So media. So did I spell my media correct? So sorry, media.html. So media.html. So I can come, then I can have an h1, then I can write something like audio and video. So audio and video. So first, let's start with audio. So how do we put an audio file over here? So I don't have any audio file for now. So I'm going to just record a demo audio. So I'm going to go to my sound recorder. So this is my sound recorder. So I'm just going to create an audio file. So I'll click to start recording. So this is a sample audio I'm going to use to demonstrate how to display the audio tag on our website. So let me cut. So this is the recording. So I have the file number 22. So now I can close this. So I have my folder over here. So I'll scroll, then I'll select my 22. So I have a lot of recordings over here. So it's number 22. Then I'll go back to my file. So let me open back to my file, my front-end navigator course. So now I'll go to the assets. Then I'll paste the audio file. So now this is the audio file. So I can close this, and then I can come assets, and we have the recording over here. So now I can simply right click, then I'll change the name to something like maybe audio. So audio, so I'll change it to audio over here. So now if I go to the media, I can simply come, then we'll have our audio. So now I can come, then I'll write audio. So sorry, I can write audio to create an audio tag. So once you create it, you have the source attribute. Specify the source of the audio. So I'll put a dash and assets, then dash again, then I'll select my audio over here. So now hopefully if I come and then I refresh, we are not going to find anything. But if we come and then we'll write controls, so controls, so write controls. So once you put the controls, find the controls over here to change, add the volume, and then we'll have the audio file. So let me play it. Start recording. This is a sample audio I'm going to use to demonstrate how to display the audio tag on our website. So, and that is it. You have successfully added an audio file to your website. So now you can start creating your music website. But before you start creating any music website, make sure to understand HTML and CSS first. So calm down and let's go. So now let's add videos. So now we are going to add videos. So I'll go to pixels. So now I'll send my cursor. Then I'll search for any video. So sorry. So let me search for programming. So programmer. So I'll select videos. So click over here, select the videos. So that will filter by videos. So search, or you can simply come here. So this is where to switch between videos and photos. So I'll click on videos. So now I can select any video. Let me look for a dark programmer. So let's go with this hacker. So I'm not encouraging any hacking. So I'm just selecting it because I like it. So I'll select this video file. So now I can click on the free download, or I can click over here, then I'll select my dimension. Just select a smaller size, don't go and select any heavy size. So I'll just select this HD size, then download. Then I'll just download it. So once you have it downloaded, you can simply open it in your folder. So this is the video I've downloaded. Then I can simply select it, then I can cut it. Then I can open back my project, and then so this is my project. So I'll go to my assets, then I'll paste the video where I have my audio and my image over. So now I can open back, and now we have this video. So right click and select. So select the video, right click, then rename it to something like programming. So can I say programming? Oh my god. So programming. So it's an MP4 format. So now I can come, then I can simply have an H2 tag. So H2, then I'll write something like video. So now I can just write the video to add a video tag. So this is how to add a video tag. So they're just similar. So now I can have the source. So I can put dash assets, then I can select my programming.mp4. So now if I come, then we'll have our video over here. So we'll have this large video over here. You can set the dimensions, so I can come, then we can have the width of the video, then I can have 500 pixels. So to decrease it, so this is the video. So I can come, then I'll add controls too. So controls, just like we did for the audio. And now hopefully if I come, I'll have this control so that I can set the controls. So I can enlarge it. So let me decrease it. So this is how to add videos over here. So if I refresh, so I'll have the video over here. So next up, we are going to discuss semantics and why it's important to have semantics on your website. So I can simply come, then I'll click over here to create a file. So right click, new file. Then I can call this file something like main.html. Then I'll press enter. So I have main.html open, so I can simply have the boilerplate. Then I can call this main.html. So why do we need semantic? So once you are done creating your website and you have it online deployed, you might want to index your website. So index simple means giving your website out for Google to show it on their search page. So if you try to index any of your website, then you might want your website to be ranked higher. So this is where semantic plays a huge part. So once you use semantic to create your website, Google will know how to display your website better and rank your website higher on search engines. So we are going to start with some semantic tags. So first we have the header tag over here. So the header tag is used to define the top section of a web page, often containing the logo and the navigation. So I can have a header tag over here. So that's the first tag I want to have. And inside the header tag, I can have a navigation tag for my navbar. And I can have different links. So I can have links over here. So I can have a UL, then I can have a LI, then I can have my first link over here. So for my first link, so I can have my index.html, then I can call it home, then I can copy this link, then I can bring it, then paste it, then I can paste it. So if we click, we have home, so we have the media, then we have a phone, so we have media, then we have phone. So I have home, then I have media, then I have the form over here. So now if we come and then we go to the main, so main.html, so we'll have the home, media, then we'll have the form. So we can have our company name over here. So I can wrap it in an H3, then it can be a logo, whether it's an image or a name. Then I can call this something like fun text. So now hopefully if I come, I'll have fun text. Then we'll have the links over here. So this is the use of the header tag, so that we'll group all the heading sections over here. So the next tag is a section tag. So I can have a section. So this is used to group different sections of your website. For example, I can have a home section over here, and inside my home section, I'll have the H1. So this H1 is a semantic tag also used to define headings. So I can have something like hi, then I can have welcome to my first website over here. So I can come down, have some paragraphs, and here just type lorem, then press enter. I will have this dummy data over here. So this is just a dummy data. So this is the first section we have. So now hopefully if we come, we'll have our nav section. We'll have another section over here containing our hero section over here. So we can have another section over here. Then we can have H2. Then we can call it the about section. So we can call it the about section of your website. So I can have a div. And inside the div, I can have lorem text. So now if we come, we'll have the about section of our website. So this is how to use our sections tag. So I can have another section, And next we are going to discuss the article. So first let me have the section H2. So I can call this maybe blog post. So this is used to contain a piece of information such as news articles or blog entries. So I can come, then I'll have a paragraph, and then we can have an article. So I can have an article tag, and inside this article I can have an H2, and I'll have my first article over here, which is talking about front end. So front end development. So that's the first article. Then I can have a paragraph, then I can have some lorem tags, and then I can copy this article. So the article is inside the paragraph tag, so I'll copy the paragraph so that we'll have some margins. Then I can paste this, then I can change this to UI/UX. So now hopefully if I come, we'll have an article over here, front end, then we'll have the UI/UX over here. So this is how to use semantics. And next is the footer. So the footer element defines the bottom section of your website. It often contains the copyright information of any website. So now I can come to the footer over here, then we can write something like maybe all rights reserved. So it contains copyrights, and that's the last section of your website. So this is normally the last section of every website, the footer section. So this is how to use semantic to structure your website so that your website will have a meaning. So I think we have come a long way over here. So we have learned the basics of HTML. Then we've moved to some advanced concepts like using semantics, form, images, and videos. And I'm sure now you can start creating your own smaller projects. So like I said before, for HTML, don't put much emphasis on your visuals. So next we are going to discuss CSS, and we are going to start splashing some designs over here and create some nice looking website with CSS. Congratulations, we've just finished our HTML course. HTML is very simple, so if you check, we didn't even spend a lot of time on the course. So this is all you need to know about HTML. So once we start creating advanced projects, you have a hand on some of these elements and tags. So in our next lesson, we'll look at CSS, which is cascading style sheets, and how to use CSS to make our website visually appealing. So we are going to splash some colors and designs on our skeleton. So I can't wait to see you in the CSS course, and I'm looking forward to take you through the course.